Chuck, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk. I think it's just, number one, great that you're willing to throw your hat in the ring to be a candidate. I think the more people take interest, the better off we all are. Whether we agree or not doesn't matter. I appreciate your service volunteering to run. And so this is the first time this election is going to be done and held. And I just want voters to get a chance to hear from you personally and get to know you a little bit. So let's just start there. Can you just tell me a little bit about who you are?
I appreciate the opportunity. I'm really very excited about this new opportunity because I think it really brings something that taxpayers haven't had, and that's advocates on the appraisal board. And that's what I would like to be. I've spent the last 8 years or so being involved in Colleyville city politics. I spent 2 years on our Planning and Zoning Commission. Then I was elected to 2 terms of city council. During that time, we took a lot of energy, time, and effort to really address the appraisals and the constantly rising issues that go on with them. So for the last five out of the last 6 years, we brought our tax rate down to what's called the no new revenue rate, which means the city is not going to get any more money than they did the year before. We did that 5 years in a row. This last year, we still brought our tax rate down. We just weren't able to come down to that level with the issues with inflation and cost of goods and all of those things. So we're incredibly proud of that. And we think we're probably the most taxpayer advocate city in the state, for that matter. I believe we're the only city that's brought our tax rate down consistently for the last 6 years. So we're incredibly proud of that. And within that, I've gotten a real flavor for how appraisals work and how most people don't understand how appraisals work. So what I'm really wanting to do is come in and help people really understand those things, how they go about doing an appraisal on your house, how you go about doing a reappraisal or asking for a change in your appraisals, and what goes on behind the scenes, how the sausage is actually made.
Sounds good, man. I think you kind of answered some of my next question. I just want to add, I think it's incredible that you're willing to throw your hat in the ring and run. Was there anything in particular that motivated you to be willing to run?
There's been a lot of things. I've been in IT for the last 35 years. My background is all about taking bad software implementations and fixing them. And 2016, TAD implemented a new piece of software. And to this day, it still is not running correctly. And the other services that they provide, including their website, go down on a regular basis. We saw last year the real impact of that when people weren't able to go on and ask for an appraisal review. They were shut out from doing that. They were having to go around and find different ways to do that. They were coming to people like you because you had that ability to do those things. But it really hindered people actually challenging what the appraisal district had put out there. A couple of years ago, my wife went out to do an appraisal review, and I armed her with everything she needed. Unfortunately, I was out of town for work, but she had all the paperwork. She had comps from other houses in the area. She had pictures of our house, which was undergoing repairs for a slab leak. All the documentation you would need to say your appraisal's wrong. She went in, the appraiser introduced himself and said, "Oh, you're here to have a review. What about this number?" Wrote a number on a piece of paper and handed it to her. Looked at nothing, gave her no reason for that number. It was all a mystery, but it wasn't a bad number. So she said, okay. That to me seems like a pretty bad process. I'm all about process. I've spent my life developing processes, creating software to support those processes, and understanding transparency. City of Colleyville stands very firm on the idea of transparency. Everything we do, the public knows about. And I'd like to bring that same attitude and idea to the TAD board. Nobody knows how an appraisal is created. They don't know what goes into it. They have no idea how to, most times, to go for an appraisal review. And if they do, they have no idea how that number comes to play. So that's not a process that I see works for anybody. And most people just give up because they don't understand it. But the other part of that is most people also don't understand that there are two parts to getting a tax bill from your city, from Tarrant County or whatever. There's the appraisal piece that sets the value for your house. Then there's the tax rate that the city is in control of. And most people in most cities try to hide behind the fact that the appraiser raises the appraisal value. But, it goes up $10,000. The city doesn't change their tax rate to take that impact away from the individual homeowner. They just sit there and quietly say, oh, it's your appraisal's going up. It's not us. It's not our fault that your tax bill went up. Well, yeah, it is. And I want people to also understand how that works. I did some little cocktail back of envelope math on my house this morning, and just a couple of different numbers that I came up with. The city of Colleyville, my tax bill was $885. If I went to the city of Arlington,
Just for the city.
Okay,
this
is
because
that's that one piece.
Well, you're looking at that like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So I didn't go into school districts and the hospital district and all of that.
Gotcha.
There is work to be done there, but that's a next step down the road. But if I had the same exact house in Arlington with the same exact appraisal, my tax bill would be $2,008.
Oh, wow.
Over twice what I'm paying now. And Arlington's got a lot of people. They got a whole bunch of things that should be bringing in tax money. Why is their tax bill so high for the same exact thing? City of Fort Worth is even worse. My bill would have been $2,200, almost $2,300. And then for a comparable city to us, Keller, it would have been over $1,000. So where there is the smaller level that the appraiser district pulls to come up with your value, there's the bigger lever that the cities or other taxing entities pull that really affect what's in your bill. So understanding this process that the appraisal district does then allows you to go and fight your city and have them be accountable and transparent in why their bills aren't changing or they're going up when they haven't done anything differently, but your appraisal went up. I don't know if that made sense or not.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great information.
That's what I'm about, is breaking it down to the most simple thing. If I cannot explain to you why something happened, why the appraisal is what it is, then what good is that? It could be based on anything. It could be based on phases of the moon, for that matter. Whatever. I get that there are differences, because if I lived in Highland Park, my house probably is worth more than if I lived on the south side of Arlington. But that should be something that can be explained through your appraisals. And then not having any basis to tell me why they reappraised my house in 5 minutes or less, that is something that is not recreatable, is not able to be understood, and it's not consistent across everybody's households. Everything in this process should be consistent. Your real estate agent should be able to explain it to you. You should be able to go to the website, look at it if the website was up, and understand that. And that's what I want to bring to the board. And that's something that I've done for large companies like AT&T, Anheuser-Busch, Citibank. I create processes and analyze software to make sure that it is doing what it's supposed to be doing and that I can explain it when anybody asks. And that's something that no one else in this race has. So that's what I want to focus on. Transparency for everybody in both the appraisals and the appraisal review process, and then resolving the software. I've seen several people in the race that have come out and said, oh, we just need to throw the software away. No, we need to understand what the real problems are, document them, and understand where that piece of software can and cannot provide that. So did we not bring the right data over? Did we not create the right processes inside the software? Are we trying to force our process to follow the software, force the software to follow our processes? What went wrong? Let's get it all documented, and then let's go into an analysis on whether this is the right piece of software, or do we need to go out and find another one? And I don't see that has been done. So, the old term throwing out the baby with the bathwater comes into play here. We need to know what's wrong before we can go fix it.
Gotcha.
So that's my skill set. That's my background. That's what I do.
I think that's a perfect lead in to my next question, and I'm going to just sandwich the rest of it into
Go right ahead.
You seem to do a good job answering the question. So you said if you were looking at the software, you would see what's working and what's not working. Know what you know, if you had to make that kind of judgment for the appraisal district as a whole, what's something that the appraisal district is doing good? And you've talked a lot about what you would improve, but what's something you improve? And then let me sandwich the last question on that. What uniquely would you do that would be to represent taxpayers' interests uniquely?
Exactly. So what I think they've done right, they got rid of the last our lead assessor and replaced him with someone that I believe is starting to set down the right processes at a high level to address the issues.
You're talking about the chief appraiser?
The chief appraiser.
Okay, got it.
Sorry.
Okay. No,
yeah.
We've had a lot of people change seats lately, and I wanted to make sure I understood what you're talking about. Okay.
It has been very much that. I think that is a huge step forward, whether you want to credit these 3 new seats to the appraisal board, to the state, or whatever. Putting these 3 new seats on really gives somebody that the taxpayers know they put there, and that they're there to represent the individual taxpayer. So I'm seeing these 3 new positions working together with the chief appraiser to set down the rest of the processes and procedures. I see some focus on that. I see a lot of good direction that way. What I don't think I've seen yet is anybody addressing the core problems. Really getting down into the software, sitting down with everybody in their different departments and saying, how do you do your job? Where does the software help you? Where does the software fail you? Let's get all of that documented. I see a rush from many people to let's just go get a new piece of software. If I don't know what I did wrong, I'm more than likely going to recreate those problems again. And I've done thousands of implementations 99% of them that fail are because you failed the plan. And unless they do that, unless they have somebody that's creating oversight on that at the level of the chief appraiser or the lead appraiser, sorry, I keep calling him chief.
No, you got it right. Yep, you're right.
As at that level and at the board level, having that person that really understands those things, I think is the key thing that will cause this to support the taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
Really do. And I forgot the last part of your question.
What is there anything more than what you just said that you would do or you want to see done to represent taxpayers specifically? Because these 3 new seats, the position you're running for, that's the unique thing about this position is that you will be a taxpayer representative. And I know you said a lot. This may just be repeat, but
no, I think it's a good question because there are a few things that I see. I would like to see someone that goes out and spends time with both the cities and taxing entities and with individual taxpayers. Let's go start having community sessions where we sit down and we actually actively engage with people and explain things to them. Let's create some workshops around how do you go about getting your appraisal review? What are the things that you do need to bring in? What are the things that don't matter? Because in my situation, I had a slab leak. So my house was very torn up. That means it's not worth as much. That's something that the appraisal board can't see, but if you bring that information in, it will help you on your taxes. And really educate them on the 2 levers that I was talking about earlier. What does the appraisal district control? What does the taxing entity control? Really get down and actively go to homeowners associations, go to various functions. When a city is having a fair, have somebody go to a fair and sit there and have some brochures and things and talk to the people. Listen. That's one thing that I also have not seen a lot of is what I call active listening. The other thing that I noticed when I went to one of the board meetings was something that we do in Colleyville is every item that we have on our agenda, we give the opportunity for individuals to speak on that item after they've heard what the board members' opinions are. That way they can form what they want to tell us instead of being forced to talk at the beginning of the meeting where they don't know what the thought processes are. They may address the issue, they may be completely off, but that gives them the ability to interact directly with the board members and share their ideas and thoughts. There has been more than once when I've sat in a council meeting, I've heard people's arguments on an item, and I'll go, I didn't think about that. That's something that really needs to come into play in this. So either I add it into what we're talking about, make it part of the motions that we're working on, some way to bring that in, or completely change my mind and change my vote. We have to be open to those things. And I just right now don't see that the board meetings really do that. So I'm really all about details. I want people to understand the details. I want people to feel comfortable about what they're doing. I want people to know that I'm not there because I own a bunch of property and I want to make sure that my tax rates stay low. I'm not there because I want to be something else in politics. I'm term limited out right now, so I was looking for something where I could bring my experience and really help people out. I'm very open. I spend a lot of time on Facebook helping people, answering questions, finding them the right resources, and I would like to bring that same thing to TAD.
All right, terrific. Well, Chuck, I really appreciate you sitting down, and I wish you the best of luck on your campaign. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chandler. I appreciate the opportunity.
You got it.